Hey good people, how y'all doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you all my review on Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 6 Episode 24. Let's just jump right into this video. Guys, before I get started, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I honestly feel like we can do away with the Scotts. Let's get rid of Tisha, Marcel, Kimmy, and Maurice. And let's just keep Fletcher and Miss Nell, Melody, of course, Martell and even all his antics. And heck, let's keep Keke and her husband too. Let's get to know them a little bit better. But the Scotts, I have not missed them. It's been 2 weeks worth of not seeing them. And it's like, Scott too. For real. Miss Nell, I think Miss Nell and her family are very interesting. What we saw on yesterday's episode was very raw, and I think it's just the type of situation that we need for this show. They might single-handedly be able to take the show a little bit further than where the show has been before, because I am now fully invested in the Fletchers. I am. The episode starts off where it left off last week. We're at the Fletchers' home. They're having family dinner and they're about to get into it. Fletcher and Miss Nell's son that they have together, I forget his name, but he owes his mother some money and she has his dog. So until he pays her the money I think that she gave him to bail him out of jail, he's not getting his dog back. So he's pretty upset about that. Then we have them kind of just going back and forth a little bit, and somehow Alexis, who is Chris's daughter from a previous relationship, Miss Nell tells her to shut up, shut the F up. Now, when I was watching the preview, for the life of me, I thought she said to Fletcher, shut the F up. But she was talking to the daughter. And this opened up a whole can of worms. Alexis is upset. And the reason why I think that she's upset, when we take away all of the theatrics, the foul language, Alexis is upset because everybody else at that table grew up under Fletcher and Miss Nell's household. The only person who did not grow up with everybody else was Alexis. This is what I'm gathering. When you have children, typically if the relationship does not work anymore, the mom takes the children with her. So clearly Fletcher, being Alexis's dad, did not take his daughter with him. His daughter stayed with her mom. So I think that when she says stuff like, well, they all got cars and I had to buy my first car and I get treated differently and I've been isolated from the family, that's coming from a place of, I didn't grow up with you guys. So the relationship that you guys have built with one another, I don't have that same relationship. And I think it's just really a matter of hearing her out. I'm not sure if they've ever had that discussion. Due to the fact that Alexis doesn't seem to be able to clearly articulate this in a respectful manner, being that she is at her father and her stepmom's house, she's cursing and whatnot. Because it's getting hostile, she gets up and she leaves. I thought it was funny how quick her husband got up with her. Like, as soon as she was like, I'm out, he was gone. I appreciate the fact that Chris went outside to try to calm and diffuse the situation with her. At first, I was honestly wondering if he was going to do that. And if he did not do that, I would definitely be looking at him differently. But I'm glad that he went outside and tried to calm her down. So they're at the car talking. And she's telling him, you just started to be my dad at the age of 28. Say what now? At the age of 28, girl, how old are you? She can't be any older than 36, 37, if that. I mean, I might be pushing it even with that number. My point is, so he just became your dad yesterday? Like, what do you mean? So Chris is upset. And we have never really seen him upset. We know between him and Miss Nell is the firecracker, not Chris. But obviously this triggered him and he was like, go get the F out of here. You're an effing liar. Like, the F-bombs was flowing heavily during this family scene. So she and her husband take off. He's upset and he goes back inside. At the table, they all have a little discussion about Alexis always playing the victim. According to the rest of the kids, they've reached out and tried to form a relationship with her. She's cut them out of her life, blocked them and everything. So obviously this is why they don't have a relationship either. And I think it's a little bit of jealousy on her part because, again, even with Miss Nell's son not being Chris's, he grew up in a two-family home. Who knows what her situation was with her mother? So there's resentment there. And I think when Nell and Chris get together later in the episode and they start talking about counseling, that's definitely something that they need to look into. I also found it interesting in the confessional that Chris was pretty much saying she's still our daughter. We have to love her, blah, 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 blah. And Miss Nell was like, yeah, I have to respect your decision. Like, she was not at all trying to say, yes, I love her too. We have to still love her. I looked at her a little bit differently when it came to that comment, but it, from the outside looking in, I don't really know the dynamics of the whole family situation, obviously. There's a lot going on there. I'm hoping that Miss Nell doesn't just wash her hands of Alexis. I could understand to a certain degree if she wants to keep her distance. Like, girl, you can come around, but really, you stay over there, I stay over here. I can understand that because it seems like Alexis's mouth can be disrespectful. However, that's still his daughter, and it doesn't matter how old she is. That's always going to be his daughter. So I would hope that Miss Nell continues to respect him, and when she's ready, try to have a relationship with her as well. Now, with that being said, try, okay? If she's younger, definitely try, but obviously she's an adult, so I can understand if you just have to keep your distance. I get it, okay? I definitely get it. I also think the situation with Miss Nell and her children as a whole is because she's very rah-rah. They don't feel like they can come to her and share what's going on in their lives. They rather go to Fletcher and talk to him about it because he's very level-headed. And she and him talk about this later in the episode as well when he comes over to her daycare. He's like, I take a moment and hear them out and let them say what they have to say. Miss Nell also mentions that they pay him back. When he loans the money, they give him the money back. When she loans the money, it has to be like a 2 or 3 year payment plan. She wants a little bit more respect in that area as well. And I definitely can agree with her regarding that. For me, what I found most interesting about this scene is what Miss Nell says in her confessional. I feel like she kind of alluded to the fact that maybe Alexis heard something different about the situation involving her and Fletcher, meaning Nell and Fletcher. In my opinion, I feel like maybe Alexis feels like Miss Nell is responsible for her father and her mother no longer being together. That might have something to do with it as well. You guys drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. Melody and her friend Brittany get together. Brittany is actually helping Melody pack up some shipments for one of her businesses. And what I love about seeing these two together is I feel like Brittany really brings out the fun, easygoing, carefree Mel. Almost like Mel when she was in college. They actually have been friends ever since college. I just like what she really brings out of Melody. I really do. I felt like Mel was spending too much time going in on Brittany as to why she wasn't there at her party. And I feel like Brittany had a good excuse. Her niece was having her sweet 16. She says she was there in spirit and there in thought, but she couldn't make it. It was a valid reason. So I don't know why Mel was trying to make it such a big deal. We also get to see that Melody wants to continue dating, and perhaps she wants to date somebody who's not in Huntsville. She's saying maybe it might be an international guy that she starts to see next. We'll see. I wish her well in the dating arena. She's still not sure if she wants to get married again. I can't blame her after the marriage that she just went through. So girl, date and enjoy your life. Continue to figure out who you are. I thought it was so funny how Melody kept calling Martell buddy. That was funny to me. Matter of fact, I think she called him little buddy. And I'm sure that pissed him off, which is why she kept saying it. Stormie and Courtney are talking at their house. She's telling him how she's planning a sit down between Tiffany and Keke. And then they start talking about the business. I believe her business manager or her business partner, the gentleman that we saw last week, he's still there for a couple of days. Courtney says that he wants to have Stormie's cousin come back on and work for them again. Stormie is kind of tentative a little bit about this. She fired him and she's just like, why would you have me fire him only to hire him back again? I wish her the best when it comes to the cousin. I hope that this time around it works out for everybody and it doesn't sever any relationships any more than it has. Remember, that whole firing of her cousin kind of also affected her mom and her cousin's mother, who is Stormie's aunt and her mom's sister. So we'll have to see how this whole situation plays out. I do have to say that I love Courtney and Stormie together as business partners. You know, some people can't work together with their spouse, but they seem to have a good system. Stormie mentions the fact that he trusts the decisions that she makes, and she trusts the decisions that he makes. Obviously, trust is a big component of business, and the fact that they both equally allow each other to do what they do within the business makes them even more successful. And it is admirable to see that a husband and wife can be on the same level and run a what did she say, a $40 million company. Marceau and Tisha could take some notes. Martell finally moves out of Fletcher's house, and what I did not care for is the fact that he calls him after the fact. Like, that's kind of messed up. Fletcher's supposed to be your friend. He went through loops to try to keep you in that house for as long as he could. The least you could have done is have the courtesy to let him know, I'm going to be moving out of this house on such and such of a date. You don't tell him while you're in the process of moving. I thought that was really whack. Also, I hated what he said in his confessional when he talked about needing to find a place and how he wasn't going to leave the former place until he found his new place. And now that he's moved, they can go ahead and sell. I just feel like you come across as very entitled, like you were supposed to stay there until you found what you were looking for, which of course holds the seller hostage because they can't find somebody else to take over the house because you're still in it. But that goes to show you the type of guy that Martell is. In the last scene, we see that Stormie is in her guest house. Stormie got a guest house, y'all. She's in the guest house and she invites Keke and Tiffany over. Keke is the first one to come and she is sweating profusely. She lets Stormie know that she's on methadone, and one of the side effects of methadone is the sweating. I love the relationship that Stormie and Keke have because instead of judging Keke, Stormie's like, I understand and I'm proud that you're doing what you're doing for your sobriety. Tiffany comes in, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. We'll see what happens between the two of them next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop some comments down below and let me know what you thought about this week's episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.